perhaps you'd just like to a smile or a tick or something if you know how to use those little feedback buttons. It's just nice to know that people are out there and they can hear and see me. So, good stuff. So some of you, yeah, excellent. So give me a little face, a smiley face or a happy face or a tick. So, some of you can hear me clearly, which is good news. So welcome from the National Archives here in the UK. I'm based in London. For those of you that have never been to the National Archives in the UK, here we are. This is our building here. And as you can see, it's kind of a mixture of a 1970s car park on the left and a 1990s botanical gardens on the right, which have kind of been brought together. So it's a building that is full of a tremendous amount of records. So just to give you a flavour of what we're trying to do here at the National Archives, we are the official archives for the United Kingdom. We advise the government on how to look after their information so that they can make it available in the future. We hold over 1,000 years of historical records, which have either been created by the government or come into their possession. And we look after that for historians, for family historians, for teachers, for students to access every day, and hopefully to bring their history to life. So if you go inside, what you'll see is basically 11 million boxes like this. Each box holds a different record of some description, and I'll give you a flavour of some of those in a minute. But this is a very traditional view of what an archive is all about. Boxes on the shelves. We have 11 million boxes on about 150 miles of shelving. But we also have what we call our dark archive. This is where we're storing recently created digital records. So whether they're Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, Excel spreadsheets, anything which government is currently creating is being accessioned directly to us and stored on this huge 1 petabyte, which is 1,000 terabytes. Basically, it's an awful lot of information. Within our collection, we have some famous documents such as Magna Carta from 1225. We have 3 copies, actually, of the Declaration of Independence. This one is the one that the Americans very kindly sent us in 1776, saying so long and farewell. We hold a huge number of drawings and pieces of artwork. This is actually the technical drawing that was submitted by George Stephenson for his rocket. That's for his steam engine, which became the first functioning steam locomotive, shall I say. So the first functioning steam locomotive in the world. And we also hold some very, very curious things in our collection, including a dead rat. And it's actually thanks to this dead rat that we now have the National Archives in the UK. This was actually presented as evidence to Parliament in 1838 as, when they were investigating how to look after our records. The reason it died is because it ate some of our records, so that'd be a warning to you. What I'd like to talk about today is actually how we're trying to meet some of the requirements for the history curriculum in the UK, and by doing that, by presenting and making available a range of source material, both images, film, audio, and as you can see, in the UK, at least for teaching history, there's a requirement to investigate history at different levels, so the personal and family, as well as local and national level. For children to understand what the role of museums and galleries and archives are in the study of history. And particularly important for you guys, it's about how do they use ICT to research, process and present information about the past. So we feel that we're able to support all of these aspects of the history curriculum in the UK, and I hope I'll be able to demonstrate how we're using ICT in order to do that effectively. So just a quick a straw poll that I carried out amongst some teachers that I was working with recently at Cambridge University about where do they actually get their source material. And in tests, 48 out of 49 of those teachers at Cambridge University said they went straight to Wikipedia via Google. Maybe give just a very quick poll. Give me a little tick or a cross if you tend to just kind of Google for your sources. So if you just go to Google and maybe Google Images and then maybe go to somewhere like Wikipedia, give me a little tick. If you have a kind of like a preferred website that you tend to go to, maybe something like the National Archives or your equivalent, then give me a cross. Okay, so lots of people using Google, and you know that's completely understandable. I think one of the issues for me though about getting material from Google is that you as a teacher are unsure about where it's come from, and if you're asking your children to work with material, and perhaps in a subject like history where they're trying to evaluate that material and say how useful, how reliable it is, if they're unclear about where it's come from, who's created it, and how they've obtained it, then you know that slightly undermines the work that they're doing. One thing that I would also say is this is a point that's raised from a university professor called Daniel Willingham, who's at the University of Virginia in America. He's a cognitive psychologist, so he does a lot of study of how children learn. And he says one of the most important things, this is particularly for historians, is to consider the source of a document, who wrote it, when and why. But in order to do that, you actually need to know quite a lot about it, which I guess comes back to that bit about context, about, you know, where are you getting your material from, how much contextual information will the students have about it so that they can start to understand and then think critically about it. So let's move on to actually some principles that we use when we're creating digital resources. We've been developing resources for online use now for around 10 years, and I think that some of the principles that we follow are just the general principles of good teaching. So to start with, bearing in mind, you know, I'm coming from the perspective of a history teacher, but I think this is applicable to all subjects. It's about investigation, not illustration, by which I mean if you are providing digital material to your students, let them investigate it. Okay? Don't just provide it as an illustration of something that you are talking about. So it's about letting them investigate that material and work the answer out for themselves. That's very much what we do in the in the workshops that we run on site here. So here we have children working with original historical documents actually on the desk in front of them, and when they work on the website, they work in exactly the same way, as you'll see very soon. It's about using a key question to drive that activity. So again, for history, this is absolutely essential. Making it clear right at the very beginning what it is you want your students to do, which I have to say has not always been the case, certainly in British schools. Very often we would give them lots and lots and lots of information, and then we'd ask them the question. Now, what we tend to do now is to turn that on its head. We ask them the question first, and then we get them to investigate. So this is an example, a couple of examples from my website here at the National Archives. Why did the British become empire builders in North America? And then we drive that investigation by giving digital